Well, hello there. I'm MB Hanrahan. This is our show, Our Ventura, and today my guest is Carmen Curtis, who, with her husband Greg, is the owner, director, and lead educator, I guess, at the Airealistic Circus and Flying School. Did I get that right?
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. So, Carmen, I just have to say right off the bat, and I entirely encourage people to go to your website, which you'll give the information at the end, because it's amazing. I was blown away.
Thank you.
So many images, so many videos, and I saw the quote, "The world of imagination becomes reality." And I was like, that really encapsulates it. So, gosh, I have a list of things that you've done, but maybe you'd like to go through some of them yourself.
Yeah, the Airealistic is a site-specific aerial theater company. So we've been traveling the world creating shows with an aerial element, mainly harness flying all over the world, and kind of bringing our dreams out into reality. And that's where the quote comes from, because I dream of flying, I think most people do, and now we've made it a reality.
So just to get everybody oriented, this is where when you see dancers and acrobats appearing to fly through the air, as they do in stage sets, or sometimes we think of the Cirque du Soleil, I think that's a name drop we can say. That's what you do with props, and go ahead, explain a little bit.
No, yeah, for sure. My husband actually was in Cirque du Soleil.
Wow.
And I helped create and performed in Le Rêve at the Wynn Hotel, which is very much like a Cirque du Soleil show. And so we've been doing that our whole life. And another show that we did together was De la Gorda, and that's where we got our harness experience. And now that's my specialty, is harness flying. And there's wires, we don't really fly, but we like to dance on the wall and jump off buildings and fly in the air and we call it aerial dance now.
They have performed in Ventura, and give me a little background and then tell us the story of how you got here.
Well, yeah, now we've come to Ventura. We're opening up a studio that's a circus and flying studio. So we're coming here so the public can learn how to do aerial yoga, or to fly in a harness, or to learn traditional circus skills, like the modern circus has tissues and trapeze and hammocks. So we've come here to open a school. And I have a daughter who's 9 years old now, and I needed to train and she needed to train. So my husband rigged a hammock up in the garage, and one day her and I were training, and we opened up the door, and a couple neighbors walked by and were curious, and they came in, and that was her first friend. And then the next day a couple more neighbors came by, and then she got more friends, and we got quite popular. We became known as the little aerial gym in the garage, and it got to a place where my daughter was getting good, and we needed a place for her to train. And there's nowhere in Ventura, and we couldn't drive to LA, or there's places in Montreal. So we decided to start a little school. And our wonderful community of Pierpont, which is where we live, the neighbors all really supported us. They all came. At first our school was, our neighborhood, and now slowly and surely it's growing, and as we get the word out.
Carmen, I doubt, maybe, that a kid would just all of a sudden decide like they were going to be a circus performer or they were going to be flying through the air. How did you come to this place?
Yeah. Well, I was a gymnast my whole life. I loved it, always physical. And I got a full-ride scholarship to UCLA. And from there, my coach, Valerie Condos, who's very dear to my heart, actually took me to my first Cirque du Soleil show. And it blew my mind. And from that day on, that's what I wanted to do. So I started training and went to New York, tried to get a show on Broadway, and I got this off-Broadway show called De la Gorda. And so blessed to learn harness flying from there. And then after that, Franco Dragon, who was the director of Cirque du Soleil, hired me to help create Le Rêve. And so it's been this wonderful whirlwind of strange ways of how I've led to this.
I mean, you and your company, which I want to talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
You've performed with the LA Philharmonic. I saw you performed here for our art walks with kids, which I also would love for you to tell me about that story, Under the Trees. I see the Beijing Olympics in 2008. I mean, that's incredible, and yet you're here. That's,
yeah.
Whew. You and your husband, you've told us a little bit about your background. So, like, what else? I mean, what else do the different members of your troupe do? Do you all just perform, or is someone like more specialized with rigging or choreography?
Yeah.
How does that work?
Yeah, well, my husband was also a gymnast and a performer, and mainly now he directs. So we all kind of take our own role in. I still perform, but I also teach, because it's one of my passions is children. And we also have a rigging part in our company that specializes in rigging, and some specialize in choreography. So we all do take on the different roles, but we are a group too, so we try and meld all of our dreams together and try and work together really well. And here in Ventura, what we're trying with the school is to, be here teaching. So we have the rigging company that comes in and rigs it, but our main focus here is going to be teaching for the community of Ventura. We'd love for our new space to be a place where all the artists of Ventura can come and feel at home and have a place to share their local art, to learn dance, to learn aerial, to learn music. So it will be more of a community space, and then we'll be able to bring these people together and create shows for Ventura. So we'll have some local art and wonderful artists to be able to make great shows for the community.
On the one video that I was watching that showed some young, it looked to me like young kids on, and again, I'm ignorant, it looked like long fabric ropes coming from the ceiling.
Yeah.
What's the technical term for that?
Tissue or fabric.
Okay, great. Because I have seen that at parties and Burning Man and such like that.
Yeah.
The dancers up in the air. It's very beautiful. And I saw these youngsters just going for it.
Yeah.
And so in teaching, I'm just kind of curious, because say I was a mom and I have a kid that seems kind of active, sort of spunky, kind of limber. At what point does it go from the acrobatics to flying through the air?
Well, we start slow for sure.
Okay.
There's tissue that hang down and there's hammocks that loop.
Okay.
The hammock is probably the first that I start with because we can put it very low and very safe. We even have a TOTS program for 3, 4, and 5-year-olds where tons of mats all over and little hanging toys, and they get to fly around. We even have adult classes where you don't have to have, you don't have to know anything or be a gymnast. You can come in. It's more like a yoga class. It's restorative. We use the hammocks as a tool to get into positions that maybe you might not be able to do, like headstands and handstands. It allows us to invert in a very safe way. Once we do this and the adults or the children start to become strong enough and get a core strength, we slowly go up. And the first step is just to climb. It's like climbing a rope. And then what's beautiful about the fabric is that you can knot yourself up and hang and relax, and you're totally safe and hooked in it. So we start really slowly, and I think that the people start pushing themselves more than I do.
Interesting.
I'm there as like a guide and a mentor, but they start loving it. Like, it's not for everyone, but the people that it's for, they're addicted for sure.
They get inspired and excited.
Oh, totally. And then they're so excited because it's their own thing. They're doing it. They're lifting themselves up. They're learning about it. They're getting the strength. They're holding themselves. And then they get to start performing it and feel it with the music and do it in their own style. You and I could do the same exact act, but you would look differently than me.
Oh, that's for sure.
And that's what's so wonderful. In a great way, you would share your own, whatever you have. And that's what's really wonderful about the circus arts. It's for everyone, and whatever your talent is, we can find a way to use it and really allow yourself to, get to express yourself in a whole new way.
As a practitioner myself of a pretty ancient art form of the mural painting, last night when I was chatting with you before this interview, I was thinking about just that circus performing, that's an ancient art form. I mean, you're like channeling and bringing to us something that's been around forever with new technology. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, we're bringing the circus to Ventura, but it's not the traditional circus. It's not the dun 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 dun, there's no animals. Oh, we could do that too.
No top hats?
No. It's modern circus for sure. It's created into this new form. I mean, there's this new form of fitness for the adults that is, it stems back to yoga, Pilates, and circus but it's more modern now. And also the tools that we're using, we have new apparatus, we have aerial hoops, we have new harnesses, we have new technology. So it does stem from the very basics, but now we're going in a more modern, stylistic approach. And I call it aerial dancing, because to me, in the air now, we're learning to dance in the air.
I just have to ask. I saw one video where it looked like people were jumping out of windows on a brick wall.
One.
Did you build the wall, or is that something you do on site? And what's the difference between, like, or maybe name some events where you've either built the set or then you've actually just, like, maybe guerrilla'd, like just go into some place and start going for it after you've rigged it, of course.
Yeah, you were talking first about the stunt awards.
Yes.
And that's at, I believe it was Paramount Studios. So it's the New York lot. It's already there. It looks like a building, but it doesn't really feel like one when you're on it.
Okay, sure look like a building.
It's a building in the front. You step back, it's just wood. There's nothing going on. That was awesome event. That was one of my favorite. We called it the big wall. And Greg, my husband's actually at the top of the wall, and I'm on the ground lying down looking up in my harness. And he jumps off, and I fly up. And it's called counterbalancing. Oh. It's one of our wonderful techniques that Airealistics come up with. It's counterbalancing and counterweighting. So his weight pulls me up, and we come together. And therefore, on the side of a wall, we're able to now dance and fly and run back and forth and flip and jump in and out of windows. And it was pretty crazy cool. And that's kind of also what we're known for. There's the modern traditional circus, but we're also pretty rad in our harness flying techniques and what we do. Like, quite extreme. And that's, you know, full rigging too. The rigging is the most important thing at the beginning there. Aerial is getting big. It's starting to come up everywhere. Everyone wants aerial at the party, the Burning Man, whatever, and you know, the corporate events, and it's really coming out. And so now even in Hollywood, they want it. And so you can't just throw someone up and do aerial. They can come in and how do we do it? How do we get, you know, an actor to be up in the air? You teach them some basics, you know, or how do we get a dancer to fly around? And so that's what we come in and do. I really actually love that because I think it's a beautiful world to teach people aerial, and so I like to be able to share techniques on how to get in the harness. I don't want to hide any of that. I want to help share and allow people to do it. So.
Okay, so speaking of sharing, I saw, again, one of your videos, and it looked like it was happening in Switzerland, and it looked like a really big deal, and there was like a big sculpture head and like a big mirror. Yeah. I didn't know, it was all in...
It's Austria.
Oh, okay,
It's around the Alps. It's next to Switzerland, so it's close.
Sorry.
This is awesome. We do this in the summer.
It was called...
It's a Bregenz Festival, and it's the André Chenier Opera in Bregenz. It's on a lake. It's a floating stage. It's a giant head. Every 2 years, they just do some new crazy, you know, stage, and this one was awesome. It's a head, and it opens up, and they hired us to come do the aerial elements of the opera. So we're flying on the head. We're spinning in a mirror. It's on the water. It's beautiful, surrounded by the Alps, and we do this in the summer, and we're doing it again this summer too. So. You can see that again this summer, and we come in, we hire other performers from around Europe, we train them. It's stunt choreography, it's acrobatics, it's aerial, it's dance on a head, 80 feet in the air, hanging over sideways. It's really beautiful. And so Greg's the aerial director for that, and I've helped create perform in that. So
incredible.
Yeah, that's really
I'm telling
fun.
You folks, it's worth 1,000 words, and we have tried to explain it a bit today. Okay, we're running out of time.
All right.
Let us know how we can contact you.
Oh, please come learn to fly with us. Feel like a kid again. You can look at our website, Airealistic.com.
Spell it.
AIREALISTIC.com.
Another gem. And this has been Our Ventura is Our Ventura. I'm MB Hanrahan again. Thank you, my wonderful guest, Carmen Curtis. And keep watching. Thank you very much.